Welcome back, good friends. Brian from Apex Detail. Today we're working on a beautiful ZR1. We're going to be replacing the lens on the headlights, and just as any Corvette, when you're working on the headlights, you want to get to them and remove them. There's a lot to get out of the way before that can happen. As you can see, these lenses are cracked, and typical of the lenses of this type of Corvette and this year, this is what happens to them. We're going to take care of that today. I've shown quite a few headlight restorations, including kits to do some sanding, removing oxidation, but there's no kit available that can straighten these out. The first thing we're going to do is some masking tape. We're going to be removing parts of this car, and as they brush up against each other, maybe accidentally, we do not want them to scratch each other as they do. You're saving yourself a little bit of work. And then there's 4 bolts on the fender. These are T15s. You only want to remove the first 4. Leave the last 2. The fender in the front you can then lift to remove the headlight, but then you will not have to realign it by removing all of the screws. You could use a drill or a driver. It doesn't matter. Keep all of your fastening hardware organized. I will use a magnetic tray. Moving right along, there are 4 9/32 bolts that are holding the top of the bumper. You're going to remove those next. With those removed, carefully lift up on either end. Right inside the headlights, there's a small clip and a clamp, and a few little clips right here. Just pop those out and it will lift right up. Turn the wheel to the passenger side or remove the wheel. It doesn't matter. You can get to them either way. There are 4 or 5 T15 screws right inside the inner fender well. You need to remove them. And then there are 3 plastic pins or clips that need to be popped out with your nylon prying tools as well. This guy here is a part of an 11-piece pry removal master kit. I'll try to remember to put everything down in the comment section when it comes to links. Okay, down below we go, and there's no way around it. You will need to elevate the Corvette either way, lift, jack, stands, whatever you need to do. And there are 3 more. These are 9/32 under here, and they run the whole length underneath the car from the driver's side to the passenger side. You might as well remove all of them. Then you can remove the inner fender well liner that leads to the bottom of the headlight, and there are 2 10mm nuts to remove that hold the fender tight against the bumper. Before you do that though, remove the parking light, unplug it, get it out of the way, just in case you're removing the nuts and you bump up against one of the tabs or even the plug for the parking light and break it. Then simply pull straight down on the bumper. That will separate it from the fender. As you can see, we have masking tape on both the bumper and the fender just in case they rub against each other. Now simply unplug the fog lights, pull the bumper straight away from the car, and get it out of there. With the bumper removed, there are 2 T15 screws to remove. Those hold the tip of the fenders on there. Do not try and pull up on the tip of the fenders. Without removing those, you will break the tabs and have to replace the fender. Find the leading cable coming down from the headlight, unplug that, then there will be 3 more nuts, those are 10mm, inside that hole, coming straight down from the headlight. They need to be removed, then you can push the headlight straight up and remove it. You can do this on your own. If you have a helper, it makes it, again, a lot quicker, a lot easier. They can lift up on the fender. You could pull the headlight straight out. Be careful pulling the cable through. You'll notice we also have masking tape on the edge of the fender, so we do not scuff that, bringing the headlight up out of the base. Both headlights removed, bring them over to the workbench. We now have some work to do on these headlights. Here are the brand new lenses. First, remove the rubber grommet from around the edges of the lens. Next, grab a heat gun. We need to warm up the seams where the lens of the headlight meets the base. It fits in a groove. There's only one way for it to go in and out, and it is really in there tight. There are also some tabs. You see the two plastic tabs right there? They are very brittle if you try to move them cold. If you warm them up, you can move them, and they'll actually even stay that way until you get the new lens on. Warm them up, fold those tabs back in place, and it'll help hold the lens on. Seal it back on, and we're good to go. Now, when we have the lens off, there's a bezel that's still attached to the lens. There are 4 or 5 T15s to remove for that as well. Grab the new lens, fold the plastic protective covering back just away from the seams that you can get it on there and it's not in the way, but leaving the rest on, that'll protect the lens just in case you bump against it with a tool and you don't scuff it. Replace the lens. There are 3 10mm nuts to put back in. The bezel has bolts that reach down through the bottom of the base of the headlight. Those have to be attached again as well. Then you can remove the protective plastic covering or leave it on there until you have the headlight completely installed. It's up to you. Get the rubber spacer back on the edges of the lens and we're ready to get the light back into the base. Everything from here is just reversing the whole process from pulling the headlights out of the vehicle. When it comes to perfectly lining up that headlight inside its socket, I'll line it up with the fender, put the rear nut back on, and then just hand tighten the 2 front ones, get the bumper back on, and then you can perfectly move it to where you want it, tighten everything back up. Quick tip, make sure all the lights work before putting the bumper back into place. That's all there is to it. Looks better than new. The light is brighter at nighttime with the light not being refracted from the crack in the lenses. Guys, you could do this. Some patience, precautionary measures, not being in a hurry, and you can get to know your car inside and out. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. I'll catch you in the next video.